Hey, what's up, guys? So, JP Morgan Chase, which many of you guys know is the largest bank in America as well as the largest bank in the world, if you're going by market cap, just recently reached a $290 million settlement with an Epstein victim after her lawyers pushed for a new Jamie Dimon deposition, who is the CEO of JP Morgan Chase. According to court documents and deposition testimony, JP Morgan Chase employees had filed numerous suspicious activities reports related to Jeffrey Epstein's repeated large cash withdrawals. The reports were filed in 2002, and they suggested that the bank either suspected or knew outright that Epstein was involved in illicit, illegal, and absolutely disgusting activities. Now, despite these reports, JP Morgan continued to do business with Epstein until 2013, when the bank finally closed all of his accounts. Now, I want to make it very clear, it is very important to note that JP Morgan Chase agreed to the $290 million settlement with Jeffrey Epstein's sexual abuse victim on the same day that a federal judge ruled that dozens of girls and young women had standing in the lawsuit against the bank. This decision by the judge could open up JP Morgan Chase to even more litigation and possible discovery, and this is what many believe led to JP Morgan settling the lawsuit the exact same day that that ruling came out. Now, let's also not forget that JP Morgan Chase is facing a lawsuit by the government of the United States Virgin Islands over its relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, and in that lawsuit it is being alleged that the bank facilitated Epstein's sex trafficking and benefited from it, and that it failed to report Epstein's suspicious activities and provided them with services reserved for high wealth clients after his 2008 conviction for soliciting a minor for prostitution in Palm Beach, Florida. JP Morgan Chase has also defended itself against the lawsuit by blaming the U.S. Virgin Islands for enabling Epstein to commit his crimes, saying that officials from the islands protected Epstein, fostering the perfect conditions for Epstein's criminal conduct to continue undetected, and that the entity that most directly failed to protect public safety and most actively facilitated and benefited from Epstein's continued criminal activity was the plaintiff in this case, otherwise known as the United States Virgin Islands government itself. Now, as of right now, the government of the United States Virgin Islands is scheduled to be deposed next month in the civil lawsuit, and JP Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon is scheduled to be deposed in the suit in New York. What's also important to point out is that according to the New York Times, JP Morgan Chase continued to keep Jeffrey Epstein as a client despite internal warnings that his accounts posed unacceptable legal and reputational risk. As a matter of fact, compliance officers at JP Morgan Chase conducted a sweep of their wealthy clients a decade ago and recommended to the bank that they cut its ties with Jeffrey Epstein because of his legal and reputational risk. However, a team of company lawyers and compliance officers concluded that JP Morgan should eject him as a client, and Epstein's accounts were flagged as potentially problematic. However, this is where it gets crazy. JP Morgan's asset management division, led by a woman named Mary Callahan, intervened and protested that Epstein was actually a valuable client and that they should keep him with the bank, which they ultimately ended up doing. So in my opinion, it's real simple. I get that they settled the case, which means that they don't have to, admit any wrongdoing or liability, which is just stupid to me. But I think that anyone with a brain can clearly see that JP Morgan Chase clearly chose money over morality and human decency. They knew very well, clearly, about Epstein's wrongdoings and disgusting behavior, and they didn't care, and they still continued to keep him on as a client because he was very wealthy and he had a lot of wealthy friends whose money he could potentially bring to the bank. Now, what's also interesting about all of this is the fact that Jamie Dimon, the CEO of JP Morgan Chase, hinted at a possible presidential run in an interview with Bloomberg News. As a matter of fact, you've got some of his Wall Street buddies, such as billionaire hedge fund manager Bill Ackman, who has also spoken out, basically saying that he supports Jamie Dimon. He thinks he's a great guy. He's a leader, blah, 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 blah. You know, that whole thing. And so ultimately, there's a lot of moving parts here. We still haven't got that list. And I think this is the part that we don't want to lose sight of. Sure, there are a lot of people who share the blame and who are complicit in some of the things that Jeffrey Epstein has done. But what bothers me the most is the fact that we still don't know who are all of the people that this guy associated with, worked with, and brought to the island and potentially participated in some of those disgusting things with minors that Jeffrey Epstein was doing. We still have no idea. We also have no idea who Jeffrey Epstein worked for. If you look at the evidence, there's a lot of evidence out there that points that Jeffrey Epstein may have very well worked for a U.S. intelligence agency, which would be even more incredible. So I don't know who's hiding it. I don't know why they're hiding it, but I think it's important that we have a lot more people in independent media, because obviously mainstream media is bought and sold and controlled by the government. But we need more people in independent media to speak out about this, because I strongly believe that this is just absolutely disgusting. What Jeffrey Epstein did was wrong. And there are a lot of people who are involved in this. Obviously, you've got him having ties to Bill Gates. He's got ties to other very influential and powerful people who, let's be honest, I don't know what these rich people are doing behind the scenes, but they're clearly doing something to try and keep this stuff silent, because you would expect that every single day the Jeffrey Epstein news will be plastered all over the media, which in my opinion it should. However, it's not. What's plastered in the media all day is Donald Trump being indicted, Donald Trump going to jail, Donald Trump getting arrested, when in my opinion it actually should really be this Jeffrey Epstein stuff. Every single time something happens with Jeffrey Epstein, that should be plastered in mainstream media. That should be breaking news. Every single media outlet should be covering that for the entire day every time it comes. That's how serious this Jeffrey Epstein stuff is to me. And it's very unfortunate, because I think that what the rich and powerful and the mainstream media are trying to do is they're trying to play this game called let's wait, let it die down, and let's let time go by so everybody forgets about it. That is their playbook. They're trying to stall it out and do everything they can to not cover the story and hope that everybody forgets about it. But I'm definitely not going to forget about it. Don't you dare forget about it. And keep in mind that JP Morgan, you could bank with them if you want. That's your decision. But never forget that JP Morgan Chase knew that Jeffrey Epstein was doing these things, and because he had a lot of money and a lot of influence and he could bring a lot of wealthy clients, they chose to keep him as a client anyway. That should tell you a lot about the banking system in America. That should tell you a lot about a lot of the people in power in America, and just how disgusting and awful human beings they are, and how they will literally do anything for money and a dollar. And I think it's important that we speak up on this. So anyway, there you guys have it. That'll go include today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.